Right now, someone with no certificate, no coding, and no special background is being paid a second time for the same hour of work everyone else does once. They did not find a better prompt, and they are not smarter than you. They learned one unglamorous skill that shows up on no resume and cannot be sold in a 30-second clip. Because the magic words were never the skill. They were a distraction, and a short-lived one. The models got better, and the secret phrases stopped mattering almost as fast as people sold them. The thing that actually pays, the skill quietly turning ordinary people into something a business will pay twice for, is not a list of prompts. It is something older and harder to fake, and almost nobody is teaching it, because you cannot sell it in a 30-second clip. Let's name it plainly. The skill is the ability to stand between a messy human goal and a machine that needs clear direction, and translate faithfully in both directions. A business owner does not know what they want. They know they are frustrated. They say, "Fix my emails," or "Make us look professional," and they wave their hands. The model cannot work with a wave of the hands. It needs context, constraints, and a clear picture of what good looks like. The person who can sit in that gap, turn fog into instructions, and then judge whether the result is actually any good, is holding the real lever. Everything else is decoration. Think about why this is so valuable and why it stays valuable even as the tools improve. A model is brilliant and blind at the same time. It will write you 1,000 words in seconds, and it has no idea whether those words fit your customer, your voice, or the thing you were too distracted to mention. So who supplies the missing half? You do. You bring the context the machine lacks and the taste it does not have. As the models get stronger, that gap does not close. It moves. The grunt work shrinks, and the judgment matters more, not less. The research has started to notice this, even if the tutorials haven't. The World Economic Forum, in its Future of Jobs report, asked employers which skills are rising fastest. Near the top were analytical thinking, creative thinking, and the ability to work alongside AI rather than around it. Not the tools themselves, the thinking that aims them. That is the exact opposite of what the prompt sellers implied. The durable skill was never the software. It was the human pointing it somewhere useful. There is an economist worth listening to here. Christopher Pissarides, a Nobel laureate at the London School of Economics, has argued for years that the skills that survive automation are the ones built on managing, communicating, and understanding people. The purely mechanical skills get eaten. The human-facing, judgment-heavy ones get more precious. So the irony lands hard. In an age of artificial intelligence, the skill that pays is profoundly, stubbornly human. So what does this actually look like in practice for someone with no special background? Let me give you a picture. Imagine a small accounting firm that wants to send a monthly newsletter to clients and has never managed to start. The owner is not going to learn the tools. They do not have the words for what they want. You sit with them for 20 minutes and you pull it out of them. The tone they admire, the clients they fear losing, the 3 things they wish people understood. Then you take that, give it to a model like Claude as real context, and shape a newsletter that sounds like them. You are not the writer. You are the translator who turned a vague wish into something a machine could build and a human would actually read. Do you see what you are really selling there? Not typing, not software. You are selling the bridge between a person who cannot describe what they want and a tool that cannot guess. Let me give you another, because the shape repeats everywhere. A consultant has brilliant ideas trapped in ugly slides. They want decks that look sharp without spending 2 days fighting software. You learn a tool like Gamma, you understand their thinking deeply enough to structure it, and you turn their raw notes into something clean. Again, the model does the labor, you do the understanding. The fee they pay is not for the tool they could have downloaded themselves. It is for the fact that you close the distance between their head and the finished thing. Here's the part that makes this feel like a second salary rather than a hobby. This skill does not tie you to one client or one task. Once you can sit in that gap, the gap is everywhere. Every business has goals it cannot translate and tools it cannot aim. The accountant, the consultant, the contractor, the coach, all of them are stuck in the same place, and all of them will pay the person who is not. You are not learning one trick. You are learning a posture you can carry from one paying problem to the next. Now, why do so many people sleep on this? Because it does not look like a skill. It looks like common sense, and common sense is hard to charge for until you watch how rare it actually is. Most people either fear the tools and avoid them, or they fall in love with the tools and forget the human on the other end. The narrow space between those two mistakes, where you respect the machine and stay loyal to the person, is almost empty. That emptiness is your opening. Microsoft, in its own Work Trend Index, found that a large share of leaders would rather hire someone with strong AI aptitude than someone with more raw experience but no ability to use these tools. Weigh what that means. The ground under the job market is tilting toward the person who can direct AI well, even over the person who simply knows more. The translator is being valued above the veteran. That has rarely been true of any skill, and it will not stay this open forever. Let me make the skill itself concrete, because turning fog into instructions can sound like hand-waving until you see the moving parts. When you sit with someone who cannot describe what they want, you are really asking 4 questions underneath the conversation. What does good actually look like to you, specifically, and can you show me one example you already admire? Who is this really for, and what do they believe before they ever hear from you? What must never happen? Where is the line we cannot cross? And how will we both know it worked? Most people skip every one of these and lunge straight for the tool. But those 4 answers are exactly the context the machine is starving for, and gathering them carefully is most of the job. The prompt almost writes itself once you truly have them in hand. Here is one more picture from a different corner of the world. A contractor wins jobs in person but loses them in writing. His quotes go out late, terse, a little intimidating, and warmer competitors take the work he should have had. He is never going to sit down and learn to write, and you should not ask him to. So you build the bridge instead. You learn how he talks on a job site, the way he calms a nervous homeowner, the pride he takes in clean work. You give a model that voice, along with his numbers. Now every quote goes out within the hour, clear and human, sounding exactly like the man they shook hands with. He wins more work and never touches a tool. You did not write his quotes. You taught a machine to sound like him, which only worked because you understood him first. Before the next part, tell me one in the comments. What trade or business would you build this bridge for? The accountant, the contractor, the coach, someone you already know? Name them, and I will reply with the 4 questions I would sit down and ask them first. You might wonder if this is just consulting wearing a new coat of paint. It is close to consulting, and that is a feature, not a flaw. The oldest and most durable way to earn a living is to understand a problem better than the person who owns it, and no model has changed that. What changed is the leverage. A consultant used to hand over advice and walk away. You hand someone a working system, shaped from genuinely understanding them, that keeps paying off long after you leave the room. The relationship is the same as it ever was. The thing you deliver is heavier, stickier, and far harder for the next person to copy. Let's be honest about the cost, because there is one. The tools are cheap. The skill is not bought. It is built, slowly, on real problems and real feedback. You get good at this by sitting with actual people, getting it wrong, watching their face when the output misses, and learning to ask the better question next time. There is no template for that. There is only repetition and the humility to keep adjusting. Most people quit before the skill compounds, which is precisely why it pays so well for those who don't. There is a quieter shift underneath all of this, and it is worth saying plainly. For a long time, being valuable meant knowing things other people did not. Facts were the moat, but facts are now a sentence away for everyone. So value is sliding from what you know to what you can do with the machine that knows almost everything and understands almost nothing. Knowing is cheap now. Aiming is rare, and the person who can aim well is about to look very, very employable. But keep the caveat close because it protects you. This is not a magic skill that runs on its own, and it is not passive income. You are in the room, you are responsible for the judgment, for the moment the model sounds confident and wrong, for the gap between what the client said and what they meant. The tools made the labor easy. They made the discernment more important. That is the whole bargain, and pretending otherwise is how people get burned. So what can you do this week while everyone else is still hunting for the perfect prompt? Find one person with a goal they cannot describe and a tool they will not learn. A friend with a business, a relative with a side project. Sit with them for 20 minutes and do the real work. Pull the fog into words. Aim a single tool at it. Judge the result like it has your name on it, then fix what is wrong. Do that once for free and watch how fast they ask what it would cost to keep you. One last thing before you go. The moment a client pays you for AI work, their data, their quality, and their reputation are partly in your hands, and you need to know what happens when the model gets it wrong. That responsibility is the entire subject of Vance Sterling's book, The Irreplaceable Leader. It is linked in the description, and it is worth reading before your first client, not after. So look again at the advice you were given. They told you to learn prompting, to memorize the magic words, to chase the trick. But the words were never the skill. The skill was always you, standing in the gap, turning what a person cannot say into what a machine can finally do.